Welcome to the semifinals of the Elestriad, where MBT, representing Aeolus and the Wind Pantheon, is throwing down against ShadyPenguinn, representing Hephaestus and the Fire Pantheon. MBT had an incredible start to his season, going 6-1 throughout our 7 weeks of the Elestriad round robin. Shady finished at 4-3 and just barely clinched his way into the playoffs, but has utilized some really cool strategies throughout the season, and I think we're going to have an epic clash today. This is a best of 3 clash. If you did not see the clash with DistantCoder and JadeJonny, that went up earlier this week, so be sure to check that out. This will be, kind of the clash to determine who is going to move to the finals to ultimately have themselves made as a Divine Rune in Elestrals. This is some big stuff. Show some love, hit that like button down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. In this video, we're going to do their deck profiles, so we're going to break down what these two casters are going to be bringing, and then they're going to throw down in a best of 3 clash. They do have side decks at their disposal, 12 card side decks. This is mega huge, very exciting stuff, and I can't wait to see it. A little analysis of the two casters so far this season. Shady's best cards this season have been Eruption, Exaltair, and Krakatuga. He's utilized a lot of different burn strategies and kind of found his way in that niche of utilizing burn, but in a best of 3 format, it is not nearly as effective when your opponent can kind of prepare for that type of burn. You can kind of work around it with Fire Spirits. You can utilize things like Ambrosia to kind of mitigate some of that, kind of damage that you're being dealt. But one thing I do want to mention is Shady has done an incredible job this season with misenchanting not only stadiums but his Elestrals as well, and we look to see if he can take advantage of that here in the semifinals. Now MBT, on the other hand, has dealt 12 damage with his Twindra this season. It is no surprise that Pantera has been his go-to strategy to ultimately take down his foes and clashes. His P-Gust has been cast 9 times. All of these stats provided by Elestriad.com if you want to check them out yourself. 9 P-Gust casts. That means this thing is going to hit the field every single game, and it's going to disrupt that back row. Something to keep in mind and something to look forward to seeing. MBT is up first with his deck profile. Let's find out exactly what he's going to bring. Almost certainly P-Gust, but is he going to go full Pantera? Let's find out.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka time to start taking this seriously. We are in top 4 as the 2nd seed with a 6-1 record. Unfortunately, we were not able to play our 7th round match versus Magnitude because they are feeling just a little bit too ill, so hopefully they feel better soon. But it also means that we weren't able to take our Voltempest deck out for a spin. Unfortunately, you're not going to see it today either, because I think Voltempest is really poorly positioned against what ShadyPenguinn has the capacity to bring. In week 7, he brought this wind burn strategy, which makes use of a bunch of burn tools, plus cards like Exaltair, and in previous rounds, he's played Smoltuga, and both of those are decks that I don't have a lot of experience against. I want to kind of, if you'll excuse the pun, rest on my laurels. So we are playing Pantera once again, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think my pool is better than anyone else's when it comes to this, but because it is top cut, we also are playing best of 3, which is going to reduce the amount of times variants can come in and also give us access to a side deck, which I'm going to be detailing for you a little bit as well. So just to give you a quick once-over of the cards we're playing, we're on 1 Exaltair, 3 Sorlet, the third one is promo, which is why it's not with the rest of them. 3 P-Gust, of course, 3 copies of Hydrake, we're playing 1 Twindra and 1 Pantera. Outside of the winds, we're playing 3 copies of Astrabbit, 3 copies of Elichick, and then it's on to runes. For Divines, we've got 2 Aeolus and 1 Zeus. And for non-Divines, we've got 2 Earthquake. I feel like the cost is a little too much to facilitate 3. And 3 Tsunami, but of course, if Shady is on a whole bunch of water ones, we'll board one of these out. Or all of them, maybe. Then, of course, for unaffiliated runes, we've got the Ambrose, we've got the Gorgon's Gaze, we've got Nog, we've got Shield, we've got PTA, we've got Laurels, and I'm also playing 1 copy of Sharon's Obel. This was a last-minute inclusion, but it's a little win more. There are some scenarios in which I think it's going to be able to draw me into very powerful stuff. Frequently, you get into a position where, you can go for a Hydrake push, but potentially your opponent can threaten something like a Gorgon's in damage, which can really screw you over. This helps you recoup a little bit of that loss, but importantly, it also makes you go way off if you have unfortunately drawn copies of Twindra or Pantera, which I tend to do a lot. The concept is you go Sharon's Obel Hydra into a guy, that'll trigger Sharon's Obel for 1, Twindra, Sharon's Obel will draw again, Pantera, you draw when you destroy your opponent's Elestrals. So you can get up to 7 refilling your hand just off this individual card, and I think that high roll is enough to probably consider playing it. For the spirits, we are on 2 Teratlus, 2 Leviathan, we are on 6 Zaptor, and then 10 Lycoris here. out of the board, we've got a lot of really interesting stuff going on. So depending on what we think Shady is bringing, we're going to change the composition of our deck pretty radically. I've got 2 copies of Toxeon, an additional Zeus, 2 Quackle, and 3 Sparkit. So the concept here is that we can board into something akin to Thunder Nexus if we think he's playing a deck that needs to have very specific cards in its hand or that intends to play a long game. In that case, we have the capacity to bring in the Sparkits and the additional Zeus so we can frequently like rip cards out of the hand. Also the Toxeon for a sort of inevitability, and I really like Quackle as a board plan. If he's playing like Burn, it's really good to just be able to guarantee that we always have enough cards in our Spirit deck to not get blown out of nowhere. It's basically Ambrose 4 and 5. Importantly, to facilitate that increased amount of Thunder Elestrals, we're also going to have to board some Spirits. We've got 3 Zaptor to sub out some Lycras for, and also 1 by Pyro, because if we see that Shady's on an Eruption strategy, it's going to be really, really important that we're able to counter it at least to some capacity. And unfortunately, I think the mana is... Unfortunately, I think the Spirits are bad enough that we don't have the capacity to do that in main deck. A really easy sub for that. A scenario where they're playing Eruption, the Tsunamis are also going to be pretty useless, so we can board out of some number of the Water Spirits. Though we want to keep some in just in case, as it also beats Tsunami, like misenchanting a Pent with a Water Spirit. So feeling okay about this, feeling practiced, but Shady has really improved since the last time I saw him, and the last time I dueled him, he bricked, so I guess we will see. The thing that's lurking in the back of my head is even if I win this, then I have to play against Coder. God knows that's going to be a disaster.
Not surprised at all to see MBT go Penterror and P-Gust and a little bit of Thunder to mix in. He's got the Aelist, he's got the Zeus, he's got an incredible rune package with Earthquake, he's got all of the removal he needs, PTA, Shield of Achilles, Gorgon's Gaze. I mean, he really has it all in this rune package, and I love that side deck tech of the Fire Spirit. I think that's very smart. He's got the Sparkits and the Zeus in there. If he falls behind in game 1, there's an opportunity for him to pull out some shenanigans in game 2 and get himself back into this clash. So some really big pieces there. We're going to see what Shady's bringing. He's got a tall task in front of him taking on this powerful Penterror deck.
All right, we made it to top 4, which is really, really cool, and I'm getting ready to play my match against MBT. I have my deck here. We're just going to do a quick deck profile before I have to hop into this. I'm playing basically the same thing as last week. I'm going to tell you right now. So if you watched our week 7, where we won against Johnny Jade, this is the same deck just about. We have triple P-Gust to destroy back row. We got triple Exaltair, which is the burn mechanic of our deck. I just need to build a board to make it happen. We got triple Sorlet here as a 5 stat line, and also has some, potential in swapping Astro Rabbits out of defense. Then we have Cryosaur, 2 Cryosaur. Really want to see that card do some work today. We got triple Astrabbit, best card in the game. We got 1 Elechick to search out our Divine Rune, and then we have a Joltin to search out our Stadium Rune. The last of our Elestrals is going to be the 3 Mostation. This is the creme de la creme. All my hopes and dreams reside in this Mostacious crab. No, it's crab. Definitely crab. Definitely a crustacean. But just the 1/6 stat line is really, really good. And we have a tech in our side deck that maybe will be worth, using in this match. We got triple Ambrosia because recovery's nice. We got double Nectar of the Gods. We got double Circle of the Sky in the main board. We got double Shield of Achilles, double Poison Tipped Arrow, and double Resting on Your Laurels, followed by double Gorgon's Gaze. Triple Tsunami because, you know what, swapping to defense is really, really nice when we're trying to build a board. Getting our P-Gust Exaltair combo set up and starting to go is kind of, we need these counter runes to do that. We have 1 Stadium Rune, Island of Aeolia, and then we have double Aeolus, of course. So that is our main deck. Then for our side deck, we'll start out with the cheeky card, Bag of Winds. Bag of Winds is going to make our Mostation unable to be Earthquaked until my opponent gets rid of this card. So they'll have to, get a P-Gust or is it Thunderstorm, some way to get rid of back row. But, it's an extra layer of protection on a Mostation that hopefully will allow us to kind of slow the game down. Then we have double Aramare in case we need, depending on the match, I didn't really know what to do with their sideboard, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty noobish when it comes to that. I ended up just doing some more Wind Elestrals. Glidesdale could be clutch to get over something that we're not able to get over normally. I really don't have an idea what MBT is going to be playing. And then Aramare, just because the combo of them is really, really nice in general. Then, of course, we're running double Earthquake with triple Terra Atlas Spirits. Just that's going to be an immediate swap it if I feel like I need it. Then, of course, we have Circle of the Sky as a 3rd, just in case it feels like we are not getting in game 1. If we're not getting our combo off, I want to be able to add in another Circle of the Sky so the P-Gust and Aeolus can kind of interact with each other a little bit more. And then a single Boom Bat. you know, just in case removal needs to be key and the EQs are not enough. At least this is already in color with our Thunder Spirits in the deck. So that is our deck list for potentially our last match of Elestrals, but maybe not. We'll see. If we can win, we'll go to finals. But either way, this has been awesome, and I'm going to do my best.
A very interesting deck profile from Shady. I think the biggest thing I noticed right out the gates is we see more removal on MBT's side. Shady opting not to bring things like Earthquake into his main deck, which may prove to be tough when you're facing down things like Hydrake and Twindra and Pantera, where you really want to make sure you can deal with those particular threats. He does have the Resting on Your Laurels, though. That's very important to note. He seems to be running a little bit of a Nexus strategy with Circle the Sky. I think that's really cool. I love the 3 Mustations. That could prove to be very useful under water conditions, dealing with MBT's tsunamis, but most importantly could be proving to be an incredible misenchant with Wind to stop Sorlet in its tracks, one of the biggest threats that MBT carries. So some really interesting stuff there. I do like the Cryzor as well. We're going to see a lot of P-Gus in this one. This is going to be bonkers. Shady's side deck covers a lot of the things that I said he kind of missing in his main deck there, including those Bag of Winds, a very interesting artifact rune that could prove to be crucial in this best of 3. Without further ado, let's find out who's going to take it and move to the finals of the Elestriad. ShadyPenguinn representing Hephaestus, throwing down against MBT representing Aeolus. Let's take a look. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the clash that you have all been waiting for. MBT throwing down against ShadyPenguinn. I am so excited for this one. And we're going to see, I believe, a mulligan right out the gates from MBT. He's already thrown away 2 spirits. It's going to give him an opportunity to grab a new hand and try to start things over, try to do something a little bit differently here. And he's going to be rewarded with an Astrabit. That's going to give him the opportunity to look at the top 3 of his deck and add 1 to hand. I think Astrabit was the most commonly cast Celestial throughout this season of the Elestriad, and it's no surprise why. 5 defense provides really excellent protection in the early game. It provides you an opportunity to get a free card. I mean, you just can't beat it. No back row from MBT. That's going to prevent Shady from using any P-Gust action. A misenchant here on the, an Elechick cast with the Thunder Spirit, being able to search out his Aeolus and potentially set it for a future turn. This is where, you know, Zeus really comes in handy, because he could potentially hit over this Astrabit and take away MBT's momentum there. But here comes Hydrake, and it's already time for Hydrake. It's going to be able to run into Elechick. It's going to crash. Twindra's going to come out, and Shady's going to take 3 spirits of damage here. He has no back row to deal with this. There's nothing he can do about it. Elechick ends up being a sitting duck of sorts, and now MBT is 1 step closer to his strategy. Resting on Your Laurels does save Shady here in some respects, because he can potentially clear a Twindra or a Pantera later on, but because the Astrab is on the field, Shady actually can't Laurels the Twindra, and this is why Earthquake was so crucial, right? I think going into this clash, you almost have to do that, but an interesting misenchant here on the Twindra, going for the Water Spirit, meaning that Twindra does not have an effect. That kind of tells me that maybe MBT has Pantera in hand and is expecting to be able to protect his Twindra this turn and then go into Pantera on the following turn on a normal Ascension rather than a special cast. Here comes the Resting on Your Laurels, exactly as we discussed. That is going to take out the Astrabit here. Shady has an opportunity. If he has double Laurels, that would be a huge play right now. We know he's running a couple of them in his deck. The other opportunity is maybe a Mustation with a Water Spirit. It's Ambrosia. I thought it was double Laurels. I got really excited. He's going to get all those spirits back, kind of put him back up at a very healthy spirit total right now. Oh man, I got so excited for that. I thought he was about to double Laurels. Here comes a Wind Spirit. It's going to be Mustation. This is big for Shady. If MBT has no way to deal with this Mustation, this could give Shady enough time to figure out how he can get through this Twindra and really kind of deplete some of MBT's resources. Here comes the Astrabit. He's going into attack position. That tells me that he has something up his sleeve. He may be fishing for an Earthquake here. He may have some sort of an answer to this Mustation. He obviously can't change his position with Sorlet. There's the Earthquake, and that may be the difference maker in this one. MBT prepared with the strongest Elestral removal in the game. Earthquake forces you to run those Earth Spirits, which can be very difficult in deck building, but you see how much of a difference that makes, right? It's the difference of taking out an Astrabit versus a Twindra in Shady's situation, you know? And now he's got to take 3 spirits of damage. That's going to negate that Ambrosia he had last turn. And Shady's looking to try to make a push here, try to get back into this one, as that Twindra and another Astrabit are staring him down. MBT's down to 11 spirits. Shady's got another Wind Spirit here. It's going to be the P-Gus. He's going to start going after that back row, perhaps trying to set up for a later turn. Again, if he can clear an opportunity for Mustation to come out, he can hit over Twindra, which is misenchanted. I gotta believe that, you know, maybe MBT has the Tsunami, and that's why he's got the Water Spirit on Twindra, doesn't want to getting swapped around. The Pegas is gonna hit. It's gonna get the Gorgon's Gaze. That's a big hit there for Shady. You want to see that. Here comes an Aeolus to the field. This is where Shady's gonna start to probably look for his Exaltair, because Exaltair could be the answer to potentially start to burn and maybe whittle down MBT, or at least make him think about his decision making. It's gonna be the search. Let's see. He's gonna go to 3. I'm very curious what he's gonna search for. Let's do a quick listen in.
Yeah, they're pretty all right. I'm actually gonna go. I could do up to what? Up to 4. I'll do a total of 4. So 1 and then the 3. Then I will. Oh, I'm getting low for this game. I like to circle the sky.
Oh my god.
And I'll put this here. And I'll pop the other. Well, actually, I think circle the sky resolves first, Judge, right? Or no? No.
Correct. Finish resolving Circle the Sky,
Okay.
then P-Gust on the next chain.
Okay. So this resolves, and then Pegas will pop the other rune in the back.
This is an adorable line. Holy sh**.
It's cute.
Do I have anything to do about this? Like I don't. Let's think real quick. Limited in defense. That's fine.
Okay. Then I'll activate Aeolus and ditch 2.
Yep.
And search for. Let's go Exaltair.
Yep. What the heck? Oh, is that the Founders one?
Yeah, it's the art pack. Okay. That is all she wrote.
Huge turn from Shady there. I love the Circle the Sky. Activating Pegas a second time there and taking out both Gorgon's Gaze. That's massive. Here comes another Thunder Spirit. Astrapid proven to be MBT's MVP. The thing is, Shady did not have any back row. Not having anything to stop an attack here means that Pegas is going down no matter what. And then he's taking 2 spirits of damage, and he's in such a tough situation because he's going to run low on spirits here. He does have an Exaltair play. He could potentially get a nice burn too, hit the Astrapid, knock it out, but without back row, he's going to have a very difficult time dealing with that Twindra right now. Here comes a Thunder Spirit. It's going to be the Astrapid in defense. That might be exactly what he needs. If MBT has no response, which it seems like he doesn't, that 5 defense could hold up enough against the Twindra. Resting on your laurels, and now he's going to take out the Rabbit, but he gets to choose. So he can take out the Twindra in the case of a tie. Both these Elestrals have 2 enchanting spirits on them. You get to choose as the caster of Resting on Your Laurels when there's a tie. Shady does end up getting the resting off, and the extra spirit on Rabbit bites him. He's gonna go Nog here. This is huge. Does MBT find an Earthquake or some removal here? If he does not, that Astrapid may hold it down for a little longer. The Nog, a lot of players saying they're not running it anymore. Here comes Sorlet, though, to change the position. This is where the misenchant on Mustation is so big. This is going to be really interesting here. He can potentially switch the position of this Rabbit, hit Shady for 2, which would bring him down to just 1. He would be able to Exaltair burn and potentially deal some damage, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. This is looking very close, and it's looking like MBT is in a powerful position. He's setting 3 back row to protect against P-Gust here. Here comes the Sorlet into the Astrapid. Shady is thinking about his decisions. Does he have an answer? He's got to go for the expend. Does he have any sort of an answer to this play? Let's listen in.
I'm going to play Shield by paying Aeolus. Or,
Sure.
using the cost. And I'll get rid of Lycris to bounce Sorlet.
Sure. We'll still try and hit here.
Yeah, that hits.
Go ahead.
Draw. I don't know if it's even. Is it worth going through and showing the rest of my deck? No, I'll scoot game 1. I'll scoot game 1.
And that concludes game 1. MBT takes it, and now these casters get to dive into their side decks and make some sort of adjustments if they want to. I'm very curious if Shady's going to now move those Earthquakes into his main deck. Again, being able to get rid of that Twindra a little earlier may have made a difference. Shady wasn't able to kind of establish that board presence he wanted. He fell a little bit behind once that Hydrate came out, and it wasn't able to climb back from that. But I think the key there was not having enough back row. He did have that Shield of Achilles in the very end of the game, but at that point his spirits were so depleted, he wasn't able to really make any sort of actionable plays. MBT was able to chip him down with a few strikes of 2 or 3, 4 spirits at a time, and Shady fell on the back foot. But do not count him out as we go into our second round of this best of 3. Can MBT clutch this one and ultimately go to the finals, or will ShadyPenguinn pick up a game here and send us to a game 3? Let's find out. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Round 2 of our best of 3. ShadyPenguinn gonna go for the mulligan here right out the gates. Gonna throw away 2 spirits. It worked for MBT in game 1. He's gonna get his Mistation Misenchanted with the Wind Spirit. I really love this play. 6 defense, so big. Sets up for potential ascensions with Kryzor. He's got some opportunities there. I think that's a really fun play. Here comes the Bag of Winds. Oh, man. Now he cannot be targeted by opponent's runes. This thing is sitting at 8 defense. Shady busted out the side deck Bag of Winds. This is insane. Mistation at 6 defense, and he does get that boost when he swaps later. So if Mistation became Water Enchanted, used his effect, he would actually end up with 8 attack. Here comes a Nectar of the Gods to kick it off for MBT. Again, I talked about in the last clash very briefly that Nectar of the Gods has kind of fallen out of favor for a lot of casters, but I do still think it has some viability in certain decks, especially ones like this where you have a core strategy you're trying to execute. Here comes the Elechick. Ooh, that Bag of Winds may prove to be very useful as it does get Mistation to 8 defense. Elechick plus Zeus is only 7, but he's going to go Aeolus this time. He is going to be searching down that P-Gust. He knows if I can get P-Gust to the field, I can pop the Bag of Winds and I can make that a non-threat. So we'll see if that's how it plays out, but Shady's going to dig back into his deck here. He's going to be looking for a Thunder Spirit. Is this going to be an Astrabit? No, it's going to be an Elechick, actually. Elechick hits the field here, and that is going to be an opportunity for him to go grab a Divine Rune and make some things happen. Let's do a quick listen in.
Yes.
And I will attack with Elechick into Elechick.
Obel.
What does that card do?
It's okay. Until the end phase, when an Elestral is destroyed in battle, draw a card. It's a 1-drop knock.
So are you going to draw 2 right now? Yeah. Wow, that's crazy good. Oh my gosh.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but
That's a lot of cards. My turn's over.
What a huge play there from MBT. The Karen's Obel. We haven't seen it all season long. This thing comes out on the perfect opportunity. A crash. That's a 1 spirit, 1 card, draw 2 because the 2 Elechicks crash. I love that in the context of this deck where Hydrate crashes into things. Super fitting. He's going to be able to get Aeolus out. He's going to be able to get P-Gust out. He's going to be able to get rid of that Bag of Winds. All of the things that we potentially saw coming. MBT now in a situation where P-Gust can hold it down against Mistation, and he's taken away some of that protection that Mistation had. Here comes a Wind Spirit from Shady. Aeolus hits the field. Does he have the tools he needs to potentially pull off this Exaltair Nexus? He can definitely search out Exaltair here. He can definitely boost it up, or he can go P-Gust, right? If you're Shady, you have an opportunity here to just grab a P-Gust and start taking down MBT's back row. I feel like it was a great strategy in game 1. He was able to get rid of the 2 Gorgon's Gaze. Seems like that's what he's going for this time as well. He grabs that P-Gust, goes in attack position this time, actually, and he's going to pop that rune. One of the 2. What is it going to be? This could be huge if Shady wants to climb back on this one. Hitting these runes so big. It's going to be Tsunami. And does he cast it? He does. He actually casts the Tsunami and puts P-Gust into defense position. Pretty interesting there that he did do the cast because P-Gust naturally doesn't hit over the other P-Gust. You were going to force Shady to have to either use Mistation, which he couldn't because it's misenchanted, you know, potentially cast a rune to get rid of P-Gust. Like, Shady would have had to make a play there. So he does have the Circle the Sky, though. And he can Nexus from his Aeolus onto Mistation. No, he wants to go to P-Gust. Yep. He's going to go to P-Gust. And now he's going to pop the other rune and draw a card from the Circle of the Sky. Really cool use case of Circle of the Sky. He clears another Tsunami. Those 2 Tsunamis in the back row could have proven to be very, very annoying, of course. And Circle of the Sky does give him that draw. So what we're still seeing a lack of on Shady's end is back row. MBT has the back row, but he keeps losing it because of these P-Gust. In this case, the resting on your laurels is going to pay dividends. That's going to clear the Mistation off the field. No longer a threat. Now we've got a P-Gust showdown, and Sorlet hits the field. This thing can do anything it wants at this point. It can clear that P-Gust, no problem. And then he gets a hit one with the other P-Gust. So Shady's put on the back foot once again. He had a very cool strategy with Mistation Bag of Winds, but not enough to hold it down. Shady draws, looks into his Spirit deck, just 7 left. Here comes a Thunder Spirit. Is this going to be an Astrabit? It is. Astrabit could give Shady that key card that he's looking for, but obviously very susceptible to Sorlet's effect. This is where if you're Shady, well, actually I should mention the Sorlet is misenchanted with a Water Spirit. MBT utilizing the misenchant strats to try to get around potential opposing Tsunamis, which we haven't seen. And there's the proper enchant, and now the opportunity to use the effect. And again, no back row on Shady's end. The meta game right now is so heavily defined by counter runes. You almost have to, in Elestrals right now, run a solid 9+ counter runes, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. If you're not running 3 Gorgon's Gaze, you know, a lot of times Tsunami, Shield, Poison Tipped Arrows, and you don't have that full back row presence, you just allow your opponent to make plays like this because there's nothing to be afraid of if you're MBT. You're not, you know, that expend on the Sorlet action there. There's no downside to it. Shady's still in this. He's going to Ambrosia. He's going to get some spirits back here. He's facing down a Sorlet and a P-Gust. If he can misenchant the Mistation here again, he may be able to hold him off long enough. If he can get out like a Cryzor, you know, maybe clear that back row, he could potentially put in some work, start to regen some spirits. A resting on your laurels, that's going to clear the P-Gust. So he's getting back. He's starting it back. And let's see here. Here comes that Wind Enchanted Mistation. Exactly what we want to see here. He's down 5 spirits, but that Sorlet cannot deal with it. Let's do a listen in and find out if MBT has any plans. Oof.
Yeah.
Last rabbit.
Oh, it's busted.
Add to worse. Whoo! Yup. Ambro.
Oh my. Well, I mean, then again, you drew so much. It's like you're supposed to see all these.
I went up to 9 cards.
There's 9 cards. You double rat. Did you? No, you only single rabbited this game.
2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Go ahead.
Ah, yes, my ultimate card. Perfect. Ah, you got it. You got it, bro. GG. Nothing I can do.
Woo. Yo.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, the money card.
A dominant performance from MBT in this one, taking the semifinals 2-0, and now moving to the finals. I'm not going to spoil who he's playing against, but you guys will see that clash next week. So this was a doozy here. I think at the end of the day, MBT was able to gain momentum. He had a lot of early draws, that Obol, that Nectar of the Gods. It opened up his deck to see a lot more cards, so that way he could set up that back row. So that way he could have the answers like the Earthquakes and the Laurels to deal with the defensive, approach that Shady took. I really liked what I saw out of Shady in that game too. The opportunity to go out there with the Bag of Winds, the Mistation, I thought that was really creative. And I can tell you, I remember the other day I was playing on ladder, and I got wrecked by a dude running Bag of Winds Sonicore, like just completely destroyed my soul. It's a card that's not seeing a lot of play, but I think Shady used it perfectly in this one. It almost worked out. He just wasn't able to make the big play to kind of get ahead. I think if we could have seen like an Ascension like that Cryzor coming out, or maybe if he had enough back row clearance, he would have been able to make that push. But ultimately, the momentum just kind of stayed in the pocket of MBT, and Shady wasn't able to really kind of get enough to push forward and gain any sort of board presence that was meaningful when MBT just had such back row. Shady had to dedicate so many resources to it, and he just didn't quite find the pieces that he needed. But nonetheless, an incredible showing this season from Shady. Big shouts to him for being a participant and choosing fire. You gotta love that, man. Coming out hot with those Gorgon's Gaze. I think he did great this season. I loved his burn decks. So some really cool stuff. And MBT's been chugging ahead all along with Penterror, Hydrake, that Stellar Hydrake. Blessed, of course, bringing him to the finals of the Elestriad. You don't want to miss this one, guys. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I will see you guys for the finals of the Elestriad next week. Peace.